Hi guys, I'm here with Women's FIDE Master and Chess.com top blogger Flavia.
Hi.
Flavia has a new blog out on Chess.com. I'll put the link in the description, so go and check that out. But we're going to just do a quick video talking about the Greek gift sacrifice and how it works, what to look for, how to defend against it, etc., etc. So I'll get started. Basically, the Greek gift sacrifice is when you sacrifice this bishop on h7. I think some people also call it the bishop sacrifice. But basically, what we're looking for is black doesn't have any way to defend h7. Normally, there's a knight here defending, or maybe they could bring a bishop to defend it. But if black is lacking a defensive resource, he hasn't got any way to defend this. We've got a queen that can come over to the h file. We've got a knight that can come to g5. All those things usually point towards a Greek gift sacrifice working. There's other things as well what help, like a pawn being on e5 covering this square in case the king tries to run. A rook being on the e file, covering the e file, and also being able to lift and come over to the h file. But usually, just a combination of these three things will work, as you'll see. So bishop takes h7, the king takes, the queen comes in, the king is forced back to g8, and the knight comes to g5. And notice that we're threatening checkmate on this square, and black doesn't have any way to stop it. Black's only try is to move the rook, so that if we were to just check without thinking, he can move over, and then this is going to run into this. But notice that when black moves the rook, he vacates the defense of the f7 square. So we can check here, the king moves to g8, and now we're threatening the queen, we're threatening mate, and that's just game over. So another example, you can see here, black again lacking the defensive resource. He's not able to defend h7. We've got a rook on the e file. We've got a knight that can go to g5. We've got a queen that can come to the h file. So everything points towards this working. So bishop takes h7. And in this situation, the king actually doesn't take and he goes to h8. So when you face these situations, you just bring the queen to the h file anyway, threatening a discovered check, and you're still going to win the game. But for example, if the king did take, we come over, if the queen goes to g8, then same thing, the knight comes to g5, and again, black hasn't got any way to defend. He can try and run with the rook, but this time he doesn't have anything to block, and we can checkmate him. Notice that if the king was to try to run to g6, you know, we do have to do some calculation there to make sure that we can win the game. If the king tries to run here, it's very easy. The knight comes in, the king can only go there, and the rook finishes it off, sorry, with rook f1, checkmate. But yeah, in our situation, the king didn't take, so the queen swings over, threatening the discovered check, and black throws in g5. So we just move the queen and keep this discovery in place. And it doesn't matter what black does. He tries to attack the queen, but we're going to simply pull the bishop back with a discovered check and deliver the checkmate. And Flavia is
Yeah.
just going to give some more examples of when it doesn't work or how to defend against it.
So that was a beautiful way to finish the game. So yeah, basically after seeing how powerful this sacrifice is, we're going to see how we can face it if we are, I mean, if we have some bad luck and actually the opponent just think that he is ready for doing this Greek sacrifice. Well, basically I'm going to be speaking with you how to defend before jumping to the position. So sometimes we actually one of the best way to defend it is by blocking the coordination of the other pieces because for example, in this position, Blacks is trying to do bishop takes h2. After queen check, he's going to do a rook lift. So one of the main ideas to defend against these kind of sacrifices is to put like one piece in the middle of the opponent's pieces. So another way to defend it is if he takes here, king takes sometimes well, this position they go queen here, but imagine they have a knight to jump. Sometimes is to put a bishop or a queen, sometimes in this diagonal. So another way is to prevent the knight jump. Imagine after here, this one, they have a knight one more time. We basically just play bishop takes g4, and this way we eliminate and we prevent the knight jump. Or the rook lift, for example, if our pawn was not on e3 after rook f6, rook h6, we just have bishop takes h6 and game over. So another way is to look for some counterplay. This is kind of the hardest one to do, or maybe trade some key pieces in the attack. And of course, if you manage to trade queens, that's just amazing for you. But most of the time, it's really hard to do it. So, and finally, I would say the most powerful way to defend is by bringing the king outside. But we're going to speak about that. So now let's start first. Let's start with these Greek sacrifice. That was a bad one because after bishop takes two, kings go here, check. In this one, we cannot go away. So king g1. And he's basically trying to do these rook lifts that Greg told you guys. But after this, now we have actually an f4 preventing the after rook h6, we have bishop h5 blocking the whole attack. So sorry for bad for black pieces, but in this case they couldn't make it. So let's go for the other puzzle about the bad sacrifice. So in this position, actually, it looks like it works, but it doesn't. It's crazy. So white pieces has a pretty nice position after queen e4, and they keep going with the attack without having to do a big sacrifice. However, they just go crazy. Bishop takes, king takes, and king g5. Let's speak a little bit about. So the best move here is king g6. One of the ideas maneuver I told you is the best way to defend most of the time. But if they go king g8, the best move is queen e4 because and we have a pretty nice attack there because if we play queen h5 one more time, remember I told you to control this diagonal is one of the way to defend against the Greek sacrifice. So that's why in this position after king g6, well, white pieces have queen e6. Sometimes we have this as a pin, but in this position we don't have it because of this bishop. And basically they just play bishop 5. In this position, actually, we're bringing a minor piece to defend. That's one of another way to defend against this sacrifice. And finally, like I told you, if you manage to trade queens, amazing, go for it. So queen d4, checky checky, king f6, and basically this is game over for white because the attack is over. So now we're gonna be speaking about the first game ever played, or not sure if it was the first game ever. Greg, what do you think? It was the one that was played by his creator, like Greco, the me.
Yeah, it was the first game ever recorded with the Greek gift sacrifice. So it was back in the 1600s, over 400 years ago. And the white player is Gioacchino Greco, Italian. And you can see after just four moves each, he's already thinking about the Greek gift sacrifice. He plays h4. And what he's thinking is if black was to just blindly castle here, which black does, you've got e5, which removes this knight from the defense of h7. And notice that black had two defenders of the g5 square and white just had one. So with this h4 move, we've added another. So we're ready to sacrifice the bishop, and when the king takes, the knight jumps in, and if the bishop takes, we can just take back and bring the rook into the attack. Now, if the king goes back to g8, the queen comes to h5, and yeah, black's got no way to defend this. Let's say he plays f5, which is his only hope, so that if white was to just check here or here without thinking, the black king is going to run away. But white doesn't do that. White just plays patiently and plays g6, and now black doesn't have any way out. He jumps the knight back, protecting this pawn, but there's checkmate here. Let's just go back. If the king was to, after the knight jump, go to g6, which Flavia explained is one of the ways to defend. Obviously, like I said before, you're going to have to calculate in these positions, but generally, with this pawn being here and the knight being here, the bishop and the queen to come in, you're going to have a way to either win the game through checkmate or through winning massive amounts of material. Here, I think queen d, bringing the queen into either g4 or d3 works. Um, Black's only way is to block. You take that, black takes back, bring the queen to f3. Notice that the pawn controls this, so we're keeping the king restricted onto these two ranks. And h5 check, another check. The king moves over. He's only got this h6 square now. He can't go anywhere else. Obviously, we have to move the queen because we're being attacked, and we bring it in with the threat of checkmate on this square. Black's only ways to block, and now knight takes e6 with a discovered check, and we're going to pick the queen up, and that's game over. So yeah, if you want to learn more about the Greek gift sacrifice, go to Flavia's blog. I'll put the link in the description. She also offers one-to-one coaching as well. She's really good. And yeah, thanks for watching.